Hey babes, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going over a frequently asked question that I get. I probably get this question the most out of any other questions that I get, and that is, am I a vegan or am I on a plant-based diet? Or for those of you who already know the answer, some people ask why not. Well, I guess I kind of just answered my first question. So for those of you who are new around here, I'm Shantae and I am a fibroid warrior. I'm a fibroid survivor, all the positive things, right? And I share my journey with fibroids. I share lifestyle tips for better hormones or more balanced hormones. And I just share my wellness journey and things that have really helped me when it comes to my hormones and fibroids. And one of the things that I talk about a lot is diet. And when I talk about what I eat and how I eat, I tend to get so many questions about this. So I'm hoping that this video will give a lot more insight and my stance or my opinion on whether it's necessary to go vegan or go plant-based in order to heal fibroids. Now, I want to get out a lot in this video. Hopefully it won't get too long. So I have me some notes over here. So if you see me glancing over, that's what I'm looking at, is my notes, because I want to make sure that I cover everything. Now, when I first found out that I had fibroids, or I really should say when I first went on a journey to trying to shrink and eliminate fibroids and fibroid symptoms, I was probably just like you in doing so much research. Like, I was on Pinterest, I was on Google, I was reading all the articles, doing all the things. And one of the things that came up most for healing fibroids or fibroid elimination was going plant-based or doing a vegan diet. And what I learned in my research is plant-based diets actually do work well for a lot of people, whether it's reducing symptoms and even sometimes shrinking or eliminating fibroids. A lot of people do tend to have a lot of success with plant-based diets. And that's just likely because if you are doing a plant-based or vegan diet, you're probably eating more vegetables than you probably have had previously in your diet. So you're increasing your fiber, you're probably getting more nutrients that you probably weren't getting before. And so a lot of people do have success on plant-based diets. So this video isn't to convince you really one way or the other. I just wanted to share some of my thoughts, my perspective, and my experience about why I personally am not vegan or plant-based and why I didn't feel like that was the right option for me. Now, while plant-based diets can work for a lot of people, there are people who they just don't seem to work for or work well for. And I should also say that some people do plant-based or vegan diets therapeutically or for a temporary period of time. And that, again, that can be helpful for some people, but I have some opinions about why for some people it just does not work. And I've actually spoken to many women who are just like, I did a plant-based diet or went vegan for a few months and my fibroid symptoms actually increased or they got larger. And there are probably a few reasons for that. One of the reasons for that is likely the bioavailability of some nutrients. So we all have different genetics. We all have, I guess you can call it, genetic mutations or genetic predispositions that make it more difficult for us to get certain nutrients from certain types of foods. And so sometimes for a person that is plant-based, you can actually end up with a lot of nutrient deficiencies if you don't do that diet properly, if you aren't eating in a certain way. So some nutrients like B12, iron, vitamin A can actually be harder for people on plant-based diets to get if you aren't really strategic about how you're eating. Even protein can be an issue for people on plant-based diets if they are not properly pairing their foods to get complete proteins. Just from my personal experience, I chose not to go plant-based because it simply was just very difficult for me. It did not actually make me feel better when I would try to do a vegan or a plant-based diet. Unfortunately, I think I just really needed some of that animal protein. You know, I know that is not a popular opinion. That's not what a lot of people in the fibroid healing space like to admit or want to admit, but for some people it just does not work well. One thing that I want to point out is before I had my son, I actually was not a big meat eater. I could go days without eating meat. I used to do the Daniel fast with my church all the time, which is a plant-based diet. You eat plant-based for 21 days. So I used to do that all the time, almost every single year, no problem. Now, after I had my son specifically, I found it just very difficult to do any kind of plant-based diet temporarily or long-term. It was just very difficult for me. And so I think some of that, I kind of have a theory about that. I'm not going to get into that, but a lot of women do tend to have issues with doing these vegan and plant-based diets after they have children. Again, I have my own theories about that, not gonna go all the way into it, but I did notice that instead of feeling better like I used to feel, I actually felt worse. And so I decided at that point that I am not going to put my body through any more stress, because again, that's just gonna make my symptoms worse. It's gonna have me feeling worse, and that was just not the goal for me. So instead of going plant-based, I just decided that when I'm going to consume meats, I'm going to consume high quality meat. So instead of eating conventional beef, I eat grass-fed beef, I eat wild-caught fish. I'm just more careful about where my meat is from and what type of meat I'm eating, so that again, I can get more nutrition. Another issue that I noticed the last few times I tried to do a plant-based diet was my digestive issues were through the roof. And I mean, like, bloating was crazy. And that, again, that wasn't an issue before, but the last 2 times I tried to do a plant-based diet, that was a big issue for me, which again was a signal that, you know, that was not the time for me to be doing a vegan or plant-based diet. And so after doing some more research about this, what I learned is that a lot of legumes and grains, if you already have a sensitive digestive system, that stark increase in fiber can upset your digestive system. But also some plants, specifically beans, grains, and legumes and grains, those food, and even nuts, those foods can actually be hard to digest and need to be prepared a certain way, which I was actually doing. Like, I would soak and sprout my beans and I would still have digestive issues. And again, I can get more into that in another video, but what I realized is for some people, that is not really it's not helpful. It's not going to be conducive to you doing the plant-based diet because you need to get protein. And a lot of where you get that protein is from those beans and grains and legumes and nuts. That's where you get your protein. So if you're having trouble digesting those things, it's just not going to be helpful for you. Which kind of brings me to another point about doing a plant-based or vegan diet, is that if you're going to be consuming more grains and legumes, you need to properly prepare those foods, which for some people's lifestyle can be very difficult. It cannot work really well. If you have a really hectic, busy lifestyle, it can be very difficult for you to make sure you're soaking all your grains and properly preparing them. And so for some people, between your unique genetics and your lifestyle, a plant-based diet or a vegan diet just might not be the best or most efficient option for you. Now, again, I'm not trying to make a case against plant-based or vegan diets, but if you have tried these diets for fibroids and you found that your symptoms got worse, or you were like me and you just felt terrible the whole time, or your fibroids themselves even grew larger, you are not imagining that. That is a real thing. It happens. So what do you do if plant-based or vegan doesn't seem like a good option for you? What you can do instead is focus on simply increasing your fruit and vegetable intake at every meal. I like to recommend half of your plate being fruits or vegetables. With that being said, I would focus on cooked foods, foods that are plant-based foods that are easier to digest. And I can do a whole nother video on that. If you like that, just leave me a comment below. Another thing that you can do is focus on increasing your intake of spices such as ginger, turmeric, things that are warming spices. Also, ginger and turmeric has been shown to help with fibroid growth or inhibit fibroid tumor growth. So those are always going to be something good to incorporate in as many meals as possible. The other thing to focus on is, if you are going to continue to consume meat, is focus on high quality meat. And when I say high quality, I mean grass-fed and finished beef, wild-caught fish. The big thing here is increasing your intake of high quality foods that are high in antioxidants, that are nutrient dense, so that your body can get what it needs. Here's the truth. There is no one size fits all diet for fibroids. The key is really to focus on the foods that work well for your body and learn more about your individual body. If you need some help getting started with what to eat, I have a great meal plan that I am going to link below in the description box. That meal plan includes foods that are nutrient dense and helpful for when you are trying to balance your hormones and trying to eliminate fibroid symptoms. It's really a good way to just get started on your journey as you're trying to figure things out. If you found this video helpful, leave me a comment below. If you try a vegan or plant-based diet, whether it did work for you, didn't work for you, please do share your experience in the comments, because we can all learn from each other here. And also, like this video, share it with someone that you know that is dealing with fibroids or fibroid symptoms. And if you are not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You'll want to stick around, especially if you are someone with fibroids. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in this next video.